welcome to the Church Planners Toolbox. Your host again, Justin, and my pastor, Pastor Josh Levesque.
Glad to be here.
Awesome. Thank you for coming today, as you usually have.
Yep. I'm here most days.
That's good.
Yeah.
So we're continuing on our Church Planners timeline. And as you know, as we said before, this is running through the 2-year timeline of developing the church plant launch alongside Detroit Baptist Church and our development, sending that one out. We've been going through a lot of stages, or I should say a lot of different realms, and we just finished our first stage on our previous episodes, and we're now hitting into the initiation stage, which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is about 75 to 50 weeks before the pre-launch stage. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we're talking 1 year till launch, and I'm excited because I feel like we're kind of starting to hit some of the spots where you guys are at right now, because some of these things that we're talking about today are things that we've like either just recently done or are jumping into right now. So very relevant to our situation.
Yeah, I'm excited too. Our first realm that we're going to be hitting on within the initiation stage, which we'll cover a few episodes, is initiate marketing. Sometimes that can be seen as a business term. It's like, a business will have marketing to promote its own wealth, but what we're doing for the church plant is we are letting people know about the church plant so they can support the church plant and pray for it and see the Lord work through it.
Yeah, so we'll use a couple different words, but that word marketing, just the idea of spreading the word, letting people know you exist, what you're doing, for a couple reasons. Like we'll talk about raising support. So some of these foundations are going to help you raise support with other churches, help you potentially recruit a team. But these same tools are the ones that are going to help you tell your community about the church as well. So it's really
I see.
In both directions.
Awesome. So first, we're going to be talking about setting up our communications. So this is an important part of the church plant. What are some things that you can underline? Why is it important to set up a proper communication system with the church?
Yeah, so just in the sense of the big picture, we went from our foundation stage, which is a lot about kind of thinking, planning, laying those foundations, everything you need before you go public. I think kind of at the end of that, you can kind of go public. Some of these pieces here that we'll talk about over the whole next section are things that all kind of have to happen together. It's not necessarily a sequential timeline. What we're saying is that in this window of time, you're going to need all these things. Some of them build on each other. But we call it the initiation stage, as in we're going to actually start taking some action. We're going to start pulling triggers, however you want to describe it, but start, actually taking some of the steps towards the church plant. And communications is key, as we've said, because you're going to need to be able to tell people who you are, tell them what you're doing, both churches and people in your community. So this is about creating the tools that you're going to use to communicate. And again, it's going to be necessary for your survival, that people know that you exist. It's kind of the big battle.
Yeah. What are some of the main avenues of communication that church planners should start off with?
So I think the first thing that we would want to have set up is email. Email is going to be a key communication channel. We had a whole episode about how to name your church. And I think when we talked about naming your church, we said you need to take that step early on, once you have a church name, to go ahead and get that domain name or multiple domain names. Buy up good domain names. Because now that you're at the step of setting up email, the best email is going to be a domain name email. So you can have pastor@church.com or whatever. So get those so that you can have an email address set up with it. It's going to look professional. It's going to bring you a lot of credibility to have a good looking professional email on a web domain.
Yeah, because when I first was joining up with your church in Dearborn, that's something I noticed right away is you have the Josh at DearbornBaptist.church. Yeah. And I thought like, wow, this guy's really techie. he's really professional.
Yeah. The .church is a nice touch. So it's a newer domain. It costs a little bit more than a .com, but .coms are kind of oversaturated a little bit. It's hard to get a good .com sometimes. .church was kind of wide open because it's new. So
Yeah.
I've encouraged guys, hey, just grab it and use it. I think that's the direction domain names are going, are these new top level domains. And so, yeah, it's a nice touch that you can do and get multiple domain names. You'll use them for different reasons. We're not just here to talk about domain names, but it's connected to email. If you are doing it yourself or if you have a webmaster that you can work with, they should be able to set up domain emails even before your website's set up. This is something you can do very early on. And typically it's just going to be the process of creating that through wherever you are hosting your website or through where you've registered your domain name. Some of those platforms can handle setting up email and setting it up to forward to your personal email, your Gmail or whatever you're using for your personal email. That's a nice way to kind of be able to keep correspondence separate. And Gmail is capable of setting up or Outlook or whatever other mail client you're using to be able to send mail from your domain as well. So it can go both ways. So that's just a task that you need to do, but set yourself up very early on to start communicating through a professional looking email. And it'll help set you apart from a lot of other people.
Yeah. And it's a bit of professionalism, and it shows that you've taken time, especially for as your church, becomes planted and it's running, to have a church email puts a lot of credibility to it. Instead of like a personal email he gets from the church, it's like, okay, what is this? Yeah.
And the great thing is you can set up multiple email addresses that all come to the same inbox. So you can kind of have them serve multiple purposes. I set up one that was just josh@dearbornbaptist.church early to use for personal correspondence. Some churches do pastor@, which is a little more generic. That's fine.
Yeah.
If you have a funny spelled last name like I do, I had learned from previous emails not to put my last name in my email, so I don't have to tell people how to spell it over the phone, that they're inevitably going to get wrong and then not email me. So keep it simple and easy to spell. Keep it short. So I've started just going with Josh at, whatever email address. But we created another one that was just hello@dearbornbaptist.church, and one that we put on the website and put on some of our flyers and stuff, just so people had a way to reach out to us. And then we've just added them as we've needed along the way. But if you need help with that, find somebody that you can work with on your website. Maybe you've already found somebody if you're working on branding, but I encourage you to take that extra step and set you up a good email system. Now, beyond just having an email address created, you're going to want to have some kind of email client or program that's going to help you start to send emails in bulk.
Yeah.
Gmail and things are great for personal communication. And it's what I use. But once you start sending mass emails, which hopefully you'll have to do, you're going to want to step outside of Gmail and use a email marketing program. There's a number of them out there. They're changing all the time, but the big dogs are kind of like MailChimp or Constant Contact. I've used MailChimp for a long time for different things.
Yep,
it's kind of the industry standard, I think. You used to be able to get away using it for free. It's really hard to do that now. They've kind of raised the pricing. It's still, I think, $20 a month or something. You can use it, but it's a tool that you're going to need. So it's just a cost you're going to have to eat at some point. I've recently discovered they do have some nonprofit discount, but it's like 15% off. It's not a lot.
I'm experimenting now with Beehive. You've introduced me to that one. I'm kind of playing around with it. It's looking good so far.
There's a new kind of crop because I think the email newsletter is kind of making a comeback. I like over the year, like even with social media and advertising, all these things have taken such a big step. Email is still one of the strongest marketing channels. It still beats like text messaging and things in some metrics. So some people are kind of reinvesting themselves in that. And there's also this rise of like paid newsletters. Think about like there's a lot of people that are doing things like Substack or Patreon things where they can monetize their content, whether that's a podcast or a newsletter. People that write, like it used to be a blog. I think now that's kind of a newsletter. So because there's a popularity in that, and creators are able to monetize some of their content, there's a lot of cool new tools out there. I'm seeing new ones all the time. Beehive's one of them that I've started to experiment with because there's actually a higher free tier that I still fit under. So I've been able to use it for free and send some newsletters. But these are options we didn't even have when we started a couple years ago. Some of the options in that way. So I recently came across one called Epistle. As well. Some missionaries were using it. It's kind of built specifically for missionaries to help them run a newsletter and actually monetize it as well, so people can support. So there's cool tools out there. Maybe we'll link to some of them. But you got to kind of pick one, and I would suggest going with one of the big dogs because they're going to have lots of integrations that you can build into your website. Lots of tools that you can use to collect people's emails. And just some credibility that comes with it. So set up an email, but like we're talking about setting up your email communications, set up some kind of way to collect people's emails very early on. Like as soon as you start going to churches, as soon as you start meeting people in the community, have some buckets that you can start putting these things into because you're going to need to communicate with these people down the road. An email client a good email client will help you do that.
Awesome. Yeah. And so these will be for anyone who enlists themselves to be on your email subscription or, whatever, just your email list.
Yeah.
And maybe even people, would you send out a newsletter to anyone who maybe has set up a meeting with you yet, but you haven't met personally yet? Just have a email newsletter sent to their church.
Sure.
Yeah, exactly.
So
what kind
the thing
of scope?
that you don't want to do is, opt people in to your email newsletter that haven't opted into your email newsletter. Sometimes it's like, hey, I got this list of churches from this person. I could just throw all these emails in there. That's generally not the right way to do it. So do the work of giving people a way to opt into your newsletter. And you're going to want to start an email newsletter very soon. Start communicating with people. Start sending a monthly newsletter as soon as you can. It's kind of an expectation of missionaries or church planters, if you're raising funds, that you're going to stay in touch with people and give them an update on how things are going. So set up those channels, start collecting those emails, maybe have a sign-up sheet at your table for people that want to sign up and start dumping those into MailChimp or another program. And then make a nice looking email newsletter. It doesn't have to be a lot. It can be short, a couple paragraphs. Sometimes guys put too much pressure, I think, on having to write a Pauline epistle every month as an update. That's not the expectation. Just checking in on people, sharing where you've been, what you've done, sharing victories, asking for prayer. That's what people want to see. One other tip in the email direction is if you're going to do an email newsletter, it's nice to include a print version of it. It's an extra step, but lots of churches like to print that out, put it on a bulletin board. Still a big way people connect with missionaries. And so I've always tried to take that extra step and provide a printable version. And it's cool when I travel to churches and I see our newsletters up in places and I just know people are praying. I'll talk to people and they're like, they're actually reading them. Like they know what's going on in Dearborn because they read the newsletter on the wall at their church. Email is one way, but some people are going to read the email. Some people are going to read it on the wall. So try to accommodate both if you can.
Yeah, no, that's good. So you have email. What other forms of communication are we looking for?
So in terms of setting up communication channels, email, I'd say set up a phone. Again, you could use your personal number, but it's going to be nice to kind of get a number early on that you can use specifically for the church. One consideration is to do what you can to get a local area code number. If you're moving into a place, even me, I moved an hour, but it's still a different area because the phone number that I've grown up with is a Flint area code, and now I'm down in Detroit. And so it's a way like when you give somebody your phone number, they're instantly like, oh, you're not from here. So I like knew right away. And in maybe in some places that's not a big deal, but it is in Detroit.
Oh,
like
yeah, for
people,
sure. Yeah,
People look
exactly.
at the area code and they can decipher where you're from. And they make a big deal about being from the 313 and having a 313 number. So I knew right away, like I got to get a 313 number. So the way that I was able to do that, because I didn't want to lose my old number because I'd used it all my life and so many people had that way of connecting with me. I didn't just want to cut it off. So I kept my old number, but I was able to go, use Google Voice. And like we did that early on. It's free. You can choose a local area code and download the app on your phone and kind of keep those communications separate from like some personal stuff and ministry stuff. So I've used Google Voice from day one for the church number, and it's still our primary church number that just rings my phone. So it's not like you have to set up a landline you probably don't have a building, right? So it's got to go to your phone.
Yeah, and that's just one number you can do with the Google Voice, right? You can't do multiple.
You can only do one number per Google account.
Okay.
Yeah, so we have another Google account that we use for the church office that we've gone ahead and gotten another number that we use for other purposes and stuff. That's one way to do it. There's also some paid things out there. There's the company called Text in Church that we've used for years because you're talking about setting up phone communications is a way to text people. It's a great way to stay in. It's not a great, like you're not going to send a newsletter through text, right? But it's a great way to like send an announcement more internally, like to people in the community or phone numbers that you've collected at a community event or something. So that's what we use that for. And you can also get a local area code number through them. They have a new product called Talk in Church, I think it's called, which is like an actual phone number that you can work through them that's virtual.
Okay.
But the great part about either of these is you can kind of have a voicemail box that's, easy to check and kind of collects just ministry related voicemails and things. Which reminds me, if you're going to use voicemail, check that voicemail message. I had when I first set up a voicemail that's like, hey, we're coming to Dearborn, new church, launching in 2021. And like a year after we launched, somebody called and left a voicemail like, your voicemail says that you're launching in 2021. So I kind of forgot about it and left it on there for too long. But yeah, I'm a millennial, so like voicemail is not my thing, but I've had to learn to create some repositories for them that I know to check and remember to check. So yeah, set up your email, set up a phone, get a good number because you're going to have to start putting this number and an email address on printed material.
Sure. Yeah,
right.
exactly.
So it's not something like you're going to put it on a bunch of John and Romans. You're going to put them on a bunch of invitations, put them out there, and then you're going to change your number down the road. Like then all those things are wasted. So
exactly.
Set it up in a way that you can start putting it on paper, putting it out there, and that those things have a long life of people being able to reach you.
Yeah, some thoughts I had while you're talking about Google Voice. Some features I liked about it were, like you're talking about voicemail. Mm-hmm. I love how Google Voice, it can script out. I mean, I'm sure there's other phones that can do that. It transcribes the voicemail, so I can just read it. I'll see it. I don't have to listen to the whole voicemail to know what someone is saying. And then I could set it up where a text or a voicemail will automatically go to my email.
Oh, okay.
Which was really cool. So I can have one inbox to see all my communications coming in.
Yeah.
So those are some cool features that I liked about Google Voice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and put some thought into, we're going to have an episode later on about starting a church database and having a program to collect local contacts. Kind of keep that in mind too, because you might use the same MailChimp account to email a newsletter of supporters and Christian people who want to pray for you and help you. But you're also going to want to use it down the road to like email out local people that are interested in the church or attending the church. MailChimp has the ability to, even in the lower tiers, have like 3 different audiences that you can have in there. So kind of keep those things in mind as you build out those channels of what you're going to use it for down the road.
Sure, true. Yeah, that's a good point. So you have email, phone. How about social media? How relevant is that social media is really good for the church to get yourself out there in the community. But how about for raising support, connecting with churches?
Yeah, it's unfortunately necessary at all these stages. So I think when we talked about naming your church and getting those domain names, we talked about grabbing those social media username and handles along with it.
Yeah.
Because you're going to want good social media handles that you can, again, put on your website, put on some of your print stuff even. And it's hard to keep up because, those things are always kind of changing. But there's kind of the big heavy ones, Facebook, Instagram, that you're going to want to have some presence on, even if it's just to kind of hold on to it and preserve it. You can kind of use different channels for different purposes, but it can be a great tool to connect with churches and kind of keep people up to date. Some people might wonder, like, do I need an email newsletter if I've got social media? I think both are still necessary. They can work together in that, like, hey, you can do 2 or 3 Facebook posts that then you combine into an email, or do an email that you then break into 3 or 4 Facebook posts.
Sure. Yeah.
So it can be the same content. They can work together, but you're going to want to start posting. I'm not great at it myself. If it's not your natural thing to just kind of like always be posting stuff, then give it to somebody else. Like let your wife, do it. Let somebody else on your team do it. Let your kids do it. if they're more natural in it than you, pass it on. And that's, some people just naturally are better at remembering to do it and knowing how to do it well. You do want to have a presence, and that's a way that some people are going to reach out to you too. Like, some people are going to reach out to your church, through Facebook Messenger. Some people are going to reach out to you through Instagram. Make sure you got a good, consistent presence on all those platforms. And that kind of brings us to website.
Yeah.
Because the same question, like, do I need a website if I have social media? Can't we just have a Facebook page? I'm still an advocate for a website.
Yep.
I say you still got to have it. Social media changes so much, and it's necessary, I believe, to have real estate on the internet that you own and that you are in control of.
Sure.
That's what a website is. It's increasingly vital. People are going to find you on Google, find you on Facebook, but they're still going to check out your website. So it's still a necessary thing. Maybe it's a more necessary thing now, to have kind of a central hub for information and communication. So I think website's essential. It's something that you need right away, again, to be able to print on materials and give people a way to reach out to you. It's something that is worth investing in. It's something worth hiring somebody to do, to build you a good website that has all the capability you're going to need down the road. Because your website's going to kind of have to do 2 things. At first, your website might be primarily like a landing page for pastors and people to come check you out. And, you can have like your contact info, your support info, a launch countdown, that kind of stuff. And at some point, it's going to transition more to like, this is a forward facing in our community. You could consider building 2 different websites for those 2 purposes. We kind of did that at one point, had like a deputation support website and a local Dearborn website. But I think one website can very well serve both purposes. You can build special pages or things like that on it. But that's something you got to build, and it's got to look good. It says a lot about you.
First impressions.
It's that first impression. It's that front door for a lot of people that are going to check you out online before they ever come visit you in person. When we're saying initiate communication, that website's a big part of it, making sure it's up in some form and that it works and all the links are good and that. Then you kind of, put your email address, your phone number, your social media links all on that website. And so you're ready to go. Then you can start putting stuff out there, and people have a way to follow that content back to you.
Yeah, that's even good if you're distributing content or, marketing to people, you're communicating to people, and you're limited to how much space you have. If you just funnel them to your website where that connects to everything else, you just by a simple QR code or something else, you can link people to all of the ways that you contact people.
Yeah. And media is changing. And, one of the new mediums is what we're doing right now, podcasting. And, I had thought for a while, and I'm actually like, our last newsletter that we put out was basically a podcast. Like I just sat and kind of told people what was going on, and I want to do more of that. So our newsletter might become more of a podcast. But hey, that's a new opportunity for missionaries and church planners to you can just use it kind of as your update channel. And, might be a simple way to communicate with people and build up a little bit of a following. So be creative, but the main thing is just to let people know who you are, what you're doing, keep them connected to the work, and have all the tools that you're going to need to communicate down the road.
Awesome. Those are good. So in terms of the podcast, that's an interesting idea what you have there. So for like updates and just verbal communication, are you thinking like essentially your newsletter, but in verbal form? Is that what you're thinking with that?
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. Like I've seen some missionaries do this well, using social media, and, kind of putting something together. And it can, kind of include, the newsletter stuff of like updates and things going on, but can move a little bit more into like, hey, just teaching you what life is like as a missionary, and what church planting is like, and trying to just encourage more people to do it, or things like that. So it can become a little bit of a platform beyond just the work that you're doing.
Yeah. And I think it adds a personal touch too. You get to, communicate to the person. I would say, have a newsletter with it. I wouldn't just exclusively do the video because, like you're saying, put the paper on the wall. It's hard to do with the video. And all the other avenues you'll connect. You can video in addition to.
Yeah, it's just one more channel. I've seen some pastors that do it well, like in the context of their church. Like they kind of have a weekly show, like they do a little Bible study or something that's primarily for their people. It's just, for their church people. So it's cool. We got a lot of great tools, and, even the equipment and stuff, the prices come down now, so you can get a decent camera and microphone and do some of that stuff. If that's you. If it's not you, then don't do it. You don't have to do any of these things. They're just ideas, ways to communicate. But yeah, once you have all those tools in place, and, make sure that you have funnels that are collecting contact, email addresses for people, so they can stay in touch with you. And, we talk primarily about like, because we want to raise money, but, you want people praying for you. You really do.
Absolutely.
And that's a serious, strategy. Really. I want as many people praying for this work as I can. Like, I believe that prayer works, and I believe that it is a force multiplier. And so that's why I send out a newsletter. Because I believe that every time I send it out, half the people open the email. And if half those people actually stop and pray for us, then that's great. That's what we need. And I hear from people all the time that, and every time I send one out, I'll get 1 or 2 emails back from somebody saying, praying for you, so that's encouraging.
Yeah. And I've already, we've just been in deputation for only about a month or so. And I've already come across churches that are really genuinely wanting to have a connection with me. Like their members, they really love their missionaries. So like you're saying, it's not just about the financial support. These people who are supporting your church, they care about you.
Yeah.
And they want to see what you're doing, especially since they are contributing to it, but they're doing that because they care about you.
Right.
And they want to see you move forward.
And I've seen more and more churches that are very sincere in that really, they want that connection. They want their people to see you and hear from you. And so I started getting lots of churches asking for video updates. Like, hey, can you send us a quick video? And I tried my best to just, if I got that email, like I just shoot a little selfie video, and that's all they wanted. Just a little selfie video telling people what's going on, what just happened in Dearborn. There's always something crazy going on in Dearborn to tell people about. But I've started to get a lot of those. So that's kind of the reason I did the one in our last newsletter. I just did like one video update, and then I sent it to all the churches, and a number of them said, well, thank you. We're going to show this in our prayer meeting.
Cool.
So, and a couple of them had been asking me. So I said, will this work? And they were like, yeah, that's perfect. So you might want to consider, investing in a little bit of equipment or something so that you can kind of do regular video updates and maybe kind of get ahead of that. Because inevitably churches are going to want to hear from you, and you're going to want to set up the way to let them do that.
I think especially, maybe not so much church planning, because church planning is more local, but say you're doing some missionary church planning, you're not going to be able to see these churches for a long time. Yeah. So it's good to have that personal touch.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's good to kind of stay in front of them, and, people will email you, and, I try my best to respond to anybody that emails me. Even if it's just a quick, thank you for praying. Thank you for reaching out. but you got to set up the channels, and then you got to use them. So it's kind of one of those early on things. Before you start putting yourself out there, make sure that you have all the channels set up and that you've thought ahead about what ways you're going to communicate and how you're going to present yourself online. And we talked about branding already. So hopefully you have nice, strong branding that you can kind of go all the way across here, all these platforms so that they match and it looks professional and it looks credible to people in your community.
Yeah, no, that's good. The communication is so important. Yeah, like you're saying, not just for financial, aspects, but connecting with the churches that you're with. It's important just be connected with everyone, just let everyone know what's happening so they can pray for you, they can support you, and they can just be an encouragement to you. And just the encouragement that we have with being able to communicate even with people individually. Hey, got your newsletter? Hey, got some questions about your ministry. Hey, how's it going? How can I pray for you individually?
Yeah.
It's really good to keep all that communication up.
Yeah.
So the communication system is going to be absolutely essential and much needed and a blessing for all the church planners using this. So I think this is really good starting up our initiating marketing here as we set up our communications. Next episode, we're going to be talking about ordering our display materials. So probably noticed at the beginning of the episode, I had all this stuff on the table here.
You got to come back next time.
Yeah, that's right. You got to come back next time. I got some of my display table stuff here and a few materials that we're handing out. But that's another form of communication where
it is. Yeah.
Where you're going to churches in person. But all that for next episode. So thank you for watching today, and keep communicating with us. Keep watching our episodes, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you for watching the Planters
Church Planners Toolbox.
Oh man, there we go. The Church Planners Toolbox. Thank you for watching with us.